hot and bothered. Guys, by all means, I don't have an agenda. This is the first thing I'm doing this, but in this episode, you're gonna be able to find Tommy from the Let's Get Freaky podcast talk about his UFO experiences and much more. It gets freaky, it gets hot and sweaty, and it gets loud. Let them know, Tommy. Where can they find you?
We get freaky. You can find us wherever you listen to your podcast, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music. We're on YouTube now as well. Let's Get Freaky podcast, and on all the social media platforms. You can reach us there. We get freaky. Thank you
Oh
very much,
yeah,
brother.
making deposits to the bank of knowledge.
Kiss. Keep it simple, stupid.
I promise you, this is not a political podcast.
Jump from the deep end of the pool, set up the mood. Paranoid radio, set up the mood. Paranoid radio, set up the mood. Paranoid radio, set up the mood. 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 Set up the mood.
Oh, by the way, at the end of the show, I'm gonna start this new thing now, new promo skits. I'm gonna ask you to stay for at least 30 more seconds after we stop recording to record again for 30 seconds to give a quick like trailer of what we just spoke about, fresh off the conversation.
Awesome.
I dropped that in the beginning of the video now because I just started doing video and I was like, I need to start promoting. I've seen people fall out of the show after 15 or 30 minutes, and I need them to stay the entire time, you know? So how do I do that? By hooking them. Anyway. All right,
Awesome.
testicles, 1, 2, testicles. Welcome back to Paranoid Radio Podcast, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. I am Trebles Garcia, your humble host, and I want to thank the Lord for allowing me to be here today, and I want to thank every single one of you for allowing me to enter your space. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I have an amazing episode lined up for all of you guys, and I say that every single episode, but they're only getting better. Come on, guys, check us out. You gotta check us out on YouTube too. The channel's it's growing steadily. I'm not saying we're blowing up, but we're fucking blowing up. You gotta toot your own horn sometimes. Guys, check us out on YouTube before they shut it down. Also Rumble. And do not forget that the most important thing that you could do for the show today is word of mouth. Check us out at paranoidradio.com. And I also want to mention this out loudly, guys. If you guys are going through a time of darkness, if you guys are contemplating or entertaining the idea of suicide, please reach out. We don't want no more fathers. We don't want no more mothers. We don't want no more brothers and sisters weeping or offing themselves. Make sure you check us out. Go to paranoidradio.com, and the first thing that you'll see is a 24/7 lifeline. Guys, put your burden on somebody else. If you don't want to speak with anybody else there that you feel that's not gonna help you, you could always find my number associated directly with my Instagram account on Paranoid Radio, and you could text me and call me directly. You could chat with me. Put it on somebody else. Also, check out Cryptid Warfare Operations with Cryptid Warfare podcast with Drewski. They have collaborated and created a Cryptid Warfare Operations unit, tactical unit, to take care of those pesky critters outside of your house. Bigfoot, chupacabras, whatever it is that's haunting you. Also, make sure that you use and utilize the tools that Ali Christine is giving you to live and make kids healthy again. Live parasitic free. Make sure you check out Ali Christine on Instagram. You can't find her. The link is going to be in the description of the show. And also, you can find them at paranoidradio.com. The website is a hub, guys. Check us out. Drop a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. That allows other people to enjoy the show as much as I enjoy making it. Now, let's jump from the deep end of the pool and set the fucking mood. Please give a warm welcome to my next special guest. He's a legend in the making. He's putting in work. He's doing his rounds. Tommy from the Let's Get Freaky podcast. How's it going, bro?
Wow, how are you, my brother? Thank you very much, man. I've got to say, I love your energy, brother. It is awesome. You got me pumped. You got me pumped, man. I'm ready to go. You got me goosebumps.
You should see me at 6 a.m., bro, when I'm running on freaking 4 cups of coffee.
I need you, man. I need you more in my life, man.
Freaking love it. Thank you, bro. That's the nicest thing anybody said the last freaking 40 days, man. It's been heavy. It's been heavy, dude.
You're a top dude, brother. That's for sure.
Thank you, bro. Yo, I want to know, where can people find you, bro?
So I am wherever you get your podcasts, all the major podcast platforms, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music. We're on YouTube now as well. Let's Get Freaky podcast, and on all the socials as well: Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, X. There's so many I forget. Facebook. Yeah, we're everywhere. Let's Get Freaky. You see my little ginger cartoon face.
I freaking love it.
You can't miss it.
You know, there's a saying out there that gingers are actually fallen angel DNA. That you have encrypted code in your originally.
It's possible.
Yeah,
It makes a lot of
possible,
sense. It makes a lot of sense.
No wonder
It would
you want to get
explain a
freaky,
lot.
dude.
It would explain a lot, that's for sure.
I love it. Yo, everybody, make sure you check out Let's Get Freaky podcast. He's doing his rounds, man. This guy has been on fire, dropping episodes left and right. He's constant with his content, and quite honestly, we need more people like that. I think the podcast community, at least the conspiracy podcast community, that includes paranormal and all these other factions, we all have to stick together and really uplift each other and utilize again. None of us like being on Instagram. None of us like being on these platforms. But unfortunately, you guys can't take 5 seconds out of your day to stop looking ads on fucking TikTok and going to the fucking search bar, right? And searching the people up. So I like to preach that again, guys. Take time. Hashtag look it up. It only takes 5 seconds. You have a device at your fingertips with milliseconds of information, and download stuff and make sure you check out Let's Get Freaky podcast. Now, Tommy,
Thank you, brother.
talk to me, bro. Let's get freaky, dude.
Let's get freaky, my brother. Let's get freaky.
I have to start off the conversation with this, dude. I know you talk about cryptids, you talk about paranormal activities, UFO, and the hotbeds around the world. But I have to, like, you're in the UK. You mentioned earlier before we started recording, and I need to know something, bro. Are they really arresting people out there for speaking their mind?
Apparently so. I mean, apparently, it's hard to get the actual figures on this. I think I was listening to Joe Rogan the other day, and he's got Jamie there, and they were talking about 4,000 people getting arrested in the last year, I believe. It seems like a hell of a lot. No, I don't think anyone should get arrested for a social media post. I guess if you're telling someone on social media that you're going to kill them, is that a threat? I guess that may be. I don't know if you should get arrested for that, but for people talking about political matters, getting arrested for political beliefs, I think that's very wrong. And apparently that's been happening. And as I said to you before, I'm a big advocate for free speech. I really believe that is the most important thing. Some people are going to say stupid things, obviously, but it's important that everyone can say what they want to say. And then that's the way, man. If you start stopping people saying certain things, where does it end? And it'll just, as you know, it'll just be out of control, and we won't be able to say anything, so it's very important that we fight for
I'm
free
surprised you're
speech.
talking your mind right now, bro. This is a dangerous
Let's
game
go.
you're playing, bro.
Let's go, brother.
It's funny, man. Yo, yeah, stay safe out there, bro, because believe it or not, life takes a lot of twists and turns, and unfortunately for many other countries, it's not that just the UK, there's other countries like Canada's one of them too, that you have to be very, very careful when you're walking on eggshells, and you got to be careful who's, you never know who's listening, and it's a developed country. So I could only assume that people are actually going through troubles because of what they have to say, or they're thinking, the stuff that they believe, or the people that they're kicking it with and being associated with. So it's very important that you guys stay vigilant out there, bro. And thank you again for taking the time and being here today.
No, it's a pleasure, man. It's an honor. It's an absolute honor. But I just think it's important that people fight for free speech, especially here in the UK at the moment. And I think it's happening. I think the UK has been a little bit behind the US politically in recent years, and I think we're catching up to that.
Oh,
to the fight back for free speech. At the end of the day, most of us don't care too much about the politics. As long as you leave us alone, you don't charge us too much money, we're happy. And obviously that's happening everywhere around the world at the moment, where they're trying to take us out, and we're fighting back. And I think we're winning. I think we're going to win.
You know what else is it's been booming lately? And I'm not sure if it's just my algorithm, but these cryptid stuff, bro. Cryptid stuff. Everyone, dude. UFO disclosure, sightings, third dimensional, fourth dimensional beings, and all this stuff, like being abducted. Talk to me, bro. What's one of your most recent findings? What have you spoken about on your show lately?
Oh man, we get into it all UFOs, cryptids, Bigfoot, everything, man. I think for me, the big part of why the show works for me personally, I've had quite a lot of experiences myself. I've seen UFOs. I've had a lot of paranormal experiences, so I know that there's a lot more going on around us that we can't always see. And because I've had those experiences, I think obviously that helps me, listen to everyone else's experience. And there's clearly a lot going on around us that we can't always see. But yeah, man, the UFO topic, ufology, even as you said, the cryptids is popping off. Sightings are going off everywhere. The UK, Bigfoot reports in the UK now, which is really cool.
What?
Yeah,
What do you
man.
guys call it out there? Is it called
Uh,
the Sasquatch,
it's
Bigfoot?
still
What's it
Bigfoot.
called?
Yeah, it's still Bigfoot.
Okay.
But Bigfoot's everywhere. Every country there's reports of these things, and obviously not every report is people telling the truth. I get that. I get there's a lot of I don't want to call anyone a liar, but there obviously there are people that may be seeing something else and call it a Bigfoot or stuff like that. But yeah, there's reports, man. There's reports here in the UK. I had Daniel Lee Barnett on the show recently. A really cool dude. He's 15 years old. He'd be a good guest for you as well, man. He's here,
Yeah.
based here in the UK, in Somerset. And when he was 13 years of age, he got into the Bigfoot topic. And
Really?
really clever dude, 13 years of age, and he was probably smarter than me. He
Wow.
began. I think he watched Finding Bigfoot, one of those shows, and got into it. And he was like, okay, I'm going to go out in the UK and use the techniques that those guys use to try and attract deers. That was his thing. I'm gonna track deers, and I thought that was really clever. Like he's not going straight for the Bigfoot; he's going to look for deers. So he was using the technique that the guys were using to track Bigfoot, and he found like a group of deers, and he was like, "Oh, this is amazing." And now I'm gonna. We get a lot of big cat sightings in the UK. My mother-in-law actually saw a black panther in Essex, which is right next to London, about 20 years ago. So they're out there as well, black cats and panthers and all sorts of things like that. So he was going to use these techniques to find big cats because there are a lot of reports. And he actually come across a footprint in his forest. And very clever young man. He took the samples, sent it off to different labs, and he got the results back from one of the labs in Portugal, I believe. And they said that he had found old ape DNA.
What?
And
Get
no
the
human
freak out.
apparently no humans have that. We don't have old ape DNA in us. So whatever he found was like an ancient type of ape, Yeah, so very interesting. And he's got a documentary coming out, I believe, in September, which goes more into it. But yeah, man. So I think they're
That's
out. I've talked to many people that have seen them out here.
it's crazy because the UK is definitely a hotbed for not only crop circles and other cryptids, but UFO sightings, man. You said
Yeah,
you've experienced some UFO sightings yourself, huh?
yeah, for sure, for sure. When I
Talk
was
to me.
when I was 14 years of age, me and my brother and a few friends were playing soccer in the street. And it was a lovely, beautiful summer's day. There wasn't a cloud in the sky, blue sky. Just when we were kids, summer holidays used to go on forever. They were the best days, man. And we just would go out in the street, play soccer all day or whatever we did. And this particular day was playing soccer in the street, and just outside our house. And I don't know if it was me or if one of the other guys were like, "What is that in the sky?" And we've all stopped and we're looking up at this thing, and honestly, it's like nothing I had seen before at that time. I had no idea what we was looking at. It was just like, it sounds wild, but it was just like a floating building in the sky, literally just up quite far in the distance, but you could see, and it looked like I describe it now as like the buildings in Dubai now that are like
Yeah.
really sort of like futuristic and cool looking. It was just like if you pick one of them up and put it into the distance in the sky and just let it float, that's what it looked like. And we was all just watching it. Like, what the heck? Is it a balloon? Is it a plane? Like, we're all trying to just work out what it was. And none of us, it was just something like none of us had ever seen before. And it was like an orangey, silvery color. And it wasn't moving at all. It wasn't spinning or, as far as I can remember, it wasn't moving at all. What bugs me is that we all just started playing soccer again. We didn't. I know, and we didn't really talk about it, which is quite strange. Like we never really discussed it after that. It was really strange. And then when I started Let's Get Freaky podcast, Paranormal Heart Cat Ward, she gave me a chance to go on her show. It was the first time I'd ever done a podcast. And when I started Let's Get Freaky, I sort of wrote down all the paranormal that I'd experienced that I could remember. And this memory, for whatever reason, just wasn't there. Very strange. So I'm talking to Kat and telling her about experiences, and this memory just was there all of a sudden. I was like, should I tell her? You know, yeah, I'm going to tell her. And I just,
And it brought up a natural emotion.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Something sparked that memory. And it was obviously there somewhere. So I'm telling her, describing what happened. And then my brother always listens to my podcast and stuff. And he listened to that show. And he called me up like a couple of days later after it came out. And he was like, bruv, what was that we saw that day? I remember seeing it. And I was like, oh, I'm so glad that you remember that I wasn't just going crazy. I wasn't just, you know, getting this memory from somewhere. He remembered it as well. And it's very strange because I've always been interested in the paranormal since I was a tiny kid. All of it. I find it all fascinating. But at that sort of time, I didn't know a lot. I still don't know too much. Who knows what these things are? But yeah, I didn't know what we were looking at all. And I've not really seen anything else. I've seen things close to it, but not what we saw that day. And I just thought it was cool that my brother remembered it as well. I was quite thankful that he remembered it.
The fact that somebody else came at you and told you, "Hey, remember? Do you remember, bro?" You know what's funny, because when I saw the Alf, I'm not gonna tell the whole story again, but when I saw that Alf, the first thing I did was I spoke with my mom, and I told her the next morning, "Ma, I saw the Alf. I saw an Alf, mom." And she's like, she looked at me and she goes, "It's okay, mijo." She just tapped me. She goes, "It's okay, mijo. It's okay." Mijo means son, right? She's like, "It's okay." She goes, "Don't talk about it. Don't mention him. Don't try looking for him. They get insulted if you leave offerings. Don't do anything. If you let you see him, you let it be." So I did some research, and in UK they call them brownies. And I was like, what the heck, bro? So, but she told me this. I used to see him too in Mexico. She goes, I've seen them play with people, and I've seen people lose time on it, lose their memory on it. It's called the Oz factor, bro. It's one of those things that it's kind of like you lose time, you lose memory. It feels like gravity's different. You age different, and you even age slower after the fact that you were abducted, or at least you had an encounter with one of these beings from a different dimension. These guys bend light, bro. These things are, and it's funny that you mentioned look like a skyscraper in the sky, because I think, correct me if I'm wrong, ladies and gentlemen, hashtag look it up. There was a huge, it disappeared. It's been expunged, but there was a huge sighting of a city. It was a city in the sky reflected in the clouds of China. Do you remember that?
I think I've seen that video. Yeah. And is it the video where you could see people walking along like the top of the
It almost looked like a hologram, bro. It almost looked like if it was like a full-on Operation Blue Beam,
yeah.
being reflected in the sky. It was a trip, and people just stopped talking about it. But yeah, that's exactly what you reminded me of, and it's very important. In fact, I found out when I was doing an episode on crop circles that the UK is a hotbed for these things, and many of the times that these signals pulsate and they get left behind on crops, they leave remnants of nuclear radiation activity, right? Compasses don't work, stereos don't work, radio frequencies won't work, all type of instruments and mechanisms won't work, electricity just faults, and it's just like automatically everything starts changing, and they happen in different lunar eclipses or full moons and every other rotation of life doing like wavelength. It's the way they transfer energy, and it seems like they're telling us something mathematically, or almost like sonic mathematic equations on the floor materializing to tell us, hey, there's something beyond what you're living, that's something here that you need to look at and put the pieces together. So yeah,
they're giving us clues. They're giving us clues.
What do you think they are?
It's a good question, and
that's the biggest question for cryptid fanatics.
Because I think because I talked to a lot, like yourself, we talked to a lot of different people that have these experiences of abduction, seeing things, and I've even seen different kinds of what I would say UFOs. And I'll go into that a little bit more, but I think because there's a lot of different factors. Is it technology that our governments have? Are these things interdimensional? Are they coming from another solar system? There's all these different theories. I think there's a little bit of truth to all of them. And I think that's why we can't actually put our finger on it, because there is different versions of UFOs and UAPs. I do believe that we probably do have technology that we don't know about yet that is, you would put in the category of UFO. And I do believe that there are interdimensional beings, you know, and I do believe that I believe all the factors are there, you know. I think there's truth to all of these things. And that's why we can't really pinpoint, I believe, you know, an actual answer, because there's many answers. Like with the cryptids, I think there's many different versions. And that's why we can't always connect the dots.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think where science, religion, and spirituality and conspiracy theories meet that point, that's where the truth is, bro. That's where the truth lays. It's very important, bro. I've I have this saying too. I think the ultimate. I like to say this when I've gone. I'm more preachy about, not too preachy. I like injecting a little Jesus Christ in everything that I do.
Hmm.
And just a little bit, right? Because I walk towards the Bible looking for conspiracy theories, not necessarily trying to look for spirituality, spiritual guidance. Give me a moment here. I'm getting interrupted by a beautiful soul.
No problem, brother. No problem at all.
Go ahead and pick it right back up with another one of your UFO topics, bro. Another experience of
Yeah.
yours.
So this happened. I was around 27, I believe, when this happened, that sort of age. I was in Essex. This is when I was living in Essex, and me and my wife and my daughter lived in a flat in Essex, and we was on the top floor of a 4-story block of flats. And I remember one day, and again, this was a beautiful summer's day, very clear sky, beautiful day, and this was a cool experience because my mother-in-law was with me at the time, and we both saw this. And we were just sort of looking out the window talking. I can't remember what we was talking about, but there was a little forested area opposite the flats. And out of the forest came these 3 objects. And they weren't very big. They were only like, there was 3 of them, but they were like the size of, I would say, like a basketball. They weren't super big. Might have been a little bit bigger, but they weren't that big. And they were like a silvery color. And they were constantly changing shape. So they were never like the same shape. They were, you know, like the film Flubber, like the green Flubber.
Yes.
It's kind of like that, but like a silvery metallic look. And there was 3 of them, and they were sort of like going around circling, but they seemed to be connected to each other, but they weren't actually touching. So they were like moving in unison around, but they weren't actually touching each other. They weren't actually connected that we could see. And they were sort of going around and around, and they were moving up and up and up. But as they're moving, they're constantly changing shape, and they weren't the same shape either. They were like constantly changing and moving up and spinning around. And we got a good look at this, whatever this was. Like, we were looking at this for like 5 minutes, and it's just going up and up and up. And me and my mother-in-law were like, it's, again, are they balloons? Like what? Just going through all the what it could be, but we could not work out what it was. It was very strange. And they were just sort of floating up, and they were going, just continuing to go up. And they got to a certain point quite high. And then this is where we were like, okay, that wasn't anything natural, because they just went flash, 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 3 of them. And it's the way they shot off and sort of left like that light trail behind them, all 3 of them. It was like, okay, that's not
Something out of a Star Wars film.
mate. Yeah, it was wild. And I really have never seen anything else like that. Like that on any video or anything. I've never seen anything else like it. And me and my mother, I was so happy she was there as well. What really bugs me about that one is that I had my iPhone in my pocket at the time, and the cameras, the videos weren't that great then. You know, and it wasn't that long ago, but the videos weren't. It was like 10 years ago. The videos weren't that great, but I still could have recorded it. But I didn't even think about it. We were just sort of in that moment, like, what is that? Didn't take our eyes off it. And again, it was, I don't know what it was. I put it in the UFO category, but who knows what it was. But when we're at family parties now, and my mother-in-law, she's into like paranormal stuff, but not too much into the UFO stuff. But we're talking about this at every party, every family gathering, and I've got all the other family members looking at me like, really? Like, honestly, like we saw that, and I'm just so, because if my mother-in-law wasn't there as well, people were like, oh, okay, yeah, you do that paranormal show, don't you? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But
You get freaky, don't you?
Yeah, you're that freaky dude. Yeah, yeah. You get that look. Okay.
It's
You
okay,
believe-
bro. We're all paranoid on this end. it's the same shit. It's funny now that Satan's a freaking smart guy, man. That guy. I'm not trying to give him props, but Satan, get behind me, Satan. I'm gonna tell you something, and that does not towards you. Right when I was gonna speak about Jesus, my daughter interrupts me, and then all these things start happening, and glitches and stuff. People calling me. I'm not gonna let it interrupt the show. I am gonna amplify your message and let you know something about you said. And I was gonna get into this right now. I honestly think that where all of these categories meet, that's where the truth lays. And the ultimate conspiracy theory is I'm saying this right now, and I think it's simulation, not simulation theory. Because even having an almighty creator allow you to live at free will, even that's considered a simulation. You're simulating your life, right? You're downloading, you're loading, you're creating, you're manifesting, and you are a pulsating piece of electricity walking around the earth. You are magnetic, you are electrifying. So thoughts are pulsating frequencies, and even colors are frequencies, right? So everything is electric. So I'm thinking, okay, simulation, where do these things come from? How do they manifest? I read a book, one of my first books that I read when I was a teenager. It was Secret Societies by Miss Brown. Her first name is, I always forget her first, Sylvia
I am
Brown.
terrible with names. Oh, well done, man. Well done. I'm
Yeah,
terrible
so
with
she,
names.
so she came out and she said that they were able to manifest the Bigfoot in the middle of a field during the mist at dawn with other people that have kinetic powers, not powers, but they're gifted. I want to say, right? People that are reading a tarot reading, whatever, that can tell the future, blah, 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 all that stuff, right? But also people that are telepathically attuned. And telepathically attuned is important. The word telepathic is important because if you have, and I'm saying this because I've experienced this, my ex and I, and I'm not saying that I love my ex more than I love my current wife, but my ex and I were so connected on an emotional frequency that when she would look at me and make a gesture, I would understand exactly what she just told me in phrases, not just like an emotion. She would tell me, don't drink anymore. She would tell me, put that drink down. She was able to talk to me in phrases, and I would get it, and I'll look at her and like nudge, and she would just start laughing. She goes, "You heard me?" And yeah, I just fucking heard you. And then like I could
Wow.
hear her voice telling in my ear. So telepathically attuned, bro. That's how connected we were. I'm not saying it
Right
was
on, man.
love, but she was probably my twin flame. I don't know. Shit happens in life. But
Yeah.
that is how Sylvia Brown in her book describes going onto the mists and then humming and then just telepathically and being there with the mist. The electricity carries better on liquid, right? So it's just through the air, and then they're trying to imagine and visualize with intent, most importantly, a Bigfoot in front of them, and he manifests right
And
in
they
front
all
of them,
and they saw it, all of them.
and they saw it manifest in front of him, in front of
Interesting.
the group of
Which
8
is
people.
what people do in ufology as well. They manifest these lights and they get the orbs coming down, and maybe there's something to that intent.
And then I think that they just found this. It's a weapon now, if you want to think about it. Uh, I think it's in Europe. They were helping. The scientists are doing research on a specific machine that talks that when they turn it on, 99% of the time that they turn it on, they're able to put out this frequency outside of our hearing spectrum that makes a UFO appear. And with their thoughts, they could make it move around, get closer, throw lights, and then leave. 99% of the time that they turn on this machine. Hashtag look it up, guys. I can't give you the name on it.
Yes,
I'm
I
terrible with
know.
names.
Oh, I knew the name of that the other day, and it's gone from my mind as well.
Right.
Oh, I know what you're talking about, man. And I mean, if that is the case, what is going on there? That's wild,
Yeah, man.
man. I mean, the more I talk about, because cryptid sightings are a big thing on Let's Get Freaky. I talk to a lot of people that see a lot of weird things, and as you know, in this field, like in the cryptid world, you've got the divide between the flesh and blood and the supernatural. And I think like we said before, I think it's a mixture of the both, and that's why you can't pinpoint these things. Maybe not every Bigfoot is the same. Maybe they are actually different creatures, but they look very similar and they get put in the Bigfoot category, but they might not be the same thing. There might be different versions or whatever. And I'm leaning more towards at the moment, but my opinion does change every day, I've got to be honest. But I'm leaning more towards at the moment that there is sort of a supernatural element to these cryptids, or to a lot of these cryptids. I'm not saying that there isn't flesh and blood creatures out there, but it does seem that these things are on another level, realm, whatever it is.
I hear you, bro. Yo, I hate doing this to my special guests, but today was just one of those days, and family is family, and duties call, bro.
Mhm.
But I do want to give you the opportunity to not only tell people where they can find you, but also what's next. Who else are you going to have on the show, and what can they expect?
Oh, I don't know, man. We got a lot of cool.
I
We got a
like
lot
it.
of.
I like it.
We got a lot of cool guests coming, like yourself. So very excited for that. At the moment, we're doing 2 episodes a week. Could be 3 coming soon. I'm thinking about doing 3. I'm also thinking of possibly getting out there and maybe making some documentaries as well. That's something that I've started to think about recently.
Yeah.
But the podcast is my love. I love meeting people like you and talking to people and learning more and trying to work out what's going on in this crazy world. But yeah, man, just let's get freaky podcast. That's the yeah, I love doing it. Like yourself, it becomes a part of your life, and you meet the best people, and it's a great community to be involved in, and I love it,
Yeah.
man. I love it.
Thank you, man. Make sure that everybody, if you're listening to the show, you made it this far, make sure you check out the Let's Get Freaky podcast on all podcast platforms. Watch them on YouTube. Give them a shout if you have any questions. Or if you guys have any testimonies, hit him up. Email it to him. Send him a DM
100%.
and let him know what you think and saw and share those videos. You know, guys, there's never been a moment where people are more thirsty for this type of adventure and in newscasting and storytelling than now. And if you want anybody to resonate with, to share your information with, this is the time to do it right here with the Let's Get Freaky podcast and on Paranoid Radio. Make sure you check us out at Paranoid Radio Podcast, paranoidradio.com, drop a 5-star on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify, because that allows other people to enjoy the show as much as I enjoy making it. Peace. Thank you, Tommy.
Thank you, brother.
Woo!
Thank you, man. Thank you.